And here we are live. It's Monday, and today we are talking with Nathan Myers of the Fort Worth Actors Studio. I've got my Mr. Incredible cup of coffee, and we're ready to start the day. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I've got my Starbucks Kentucky mug to represent. I was born in Kentucky, so I have to give them a little bit of.
Well, everybody eventually finds their way to Texas, so that's it's always good to hear that we've got uh, imports that become natives.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I've been in Texas for 20, almost 23 years, so it's been a while.
Well,
Longer than I lived in Kentucky for sure. But
well, I think if you've lived here long enough to be an adult, 20 years, I think that counts. That makes you native. You're a native Texan now.
thank you. I will take that. I mean, I have paid my taxes. um, in exorbitant amounts, by the way. And I have enjoyed the Tex-Mex, and I married a Texan, and I made babies in Texas, and so you know I think
Well,
I
there you
qualify.
go. Yeah. I used to tell this story when I was doing comedy. I said that I was born in Texas. My parents were born in Texas. Their parents were born in Texas. And their parents were born in Mexico. But then it shortly became Texas. So we're all Texans.
Yeah, yeah. Texans, Texians, you got it. That's awesome, man. No, I've loved being in Texas, and Texas has been really good to us. We've had a lot of success there, and made so many friends that it's really kind of hard to go anywhere else. So
Well, I'm just going to cover something real quick, and then we'll come right back to you real quick. I just wanted to address the friends and family of author Hank Sinatra, who's planned on being here this week. However, due to the hurricane and its direct, looks like it's going to directly hit right there in Florida, where he happens to be this week. I would rather that he be safe and keep his family safe. So, you know, for those of you who have friends and family in Florida, we're sharing our thoughts and prayers and hope that everybody stays safe this week. And we will definitely have Hank on at some future point. But at this point, I'd like to go ahead and talk a little bit about Nathan here. He is the co director of the Fort Worth Actors Studio and has worked on countless shorts, features, music videos in his career as an actor, art director, producer, and voiceover artist. And he recently directed his first feature film, Area Appleton Shines Like the Sun.
thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so tell me, what you just got back and you were working on a specific project, were you?
Yes, I actually, well, about a month ago, I've been asleep for about a month, which happens, it's not uncommon following, some marathon push on a feature or something like that, to go dark for a moment. So I've actually been resting for a moment and kind of literally recovering physically. It was a pretty
Mhm.
grueling, grueling but excellent project to be on. It was called Bringing Back Christmas. It's produced by Ryan and Heather O'Quinn, which is Damascus Road Productions out of LA, and produced a full length comedy feature about Joseph and Mary and the Christmas story. And nobody's ever done that before. Nobody's ever been brave enough, I think, to do a little satire around Christmas. And it stars A. Alan Baker and Mark Christopher Lawrence. Of course, we have a Dean Cain cameo. We have to have one of those in a good Christmas movie. And yeah, and I actually production designed that, which was a lot of fun and a lot of work. It was 110 degrees, of course, for July into August, and it was pretty grueling outdoor work. But like I said, I've been in Texas for 20 years. I'm acclimatized to that, and we were running those Californians ragged. They were all heat sick, and we were 10 steps ahead of them, and acting like it was no big deal. But But we had a lot of fun. It was cool. We shot part of it out at Capernaum Studios at the Village studio, and then part of it in the Majestic Statue Garden, which is also there at the top of Capernaum Studios if you've ever been out there. And then we shot in several
Hmm.
locations in DFW, mostly in Fort Worth and Willow Park. And so, which was really cool. The Willow Park, um, that new development right off of I-30 in Willow Park was very accommodating, as was the city itself, and and we had a really cool, fun Christmas in summer adventure in Texas. So it was a good time.
That would be a little fine line to walk, wouldn't it, to do a comedy about the nativity?
Yeah, they were very careful. I think they were very tasteful and careful about that. They realized it's a sensitive audience to, attempt to, and it's not done in a any sort of mocking way. It's just kind of, having fun at the expense of all of the uh, maybe idiosyncrasies and difficulties and challenges that might have happened um, to them, and not really mocking or making light of it, just having fun with it, and
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
and I think they did a really nice job, kind of capturing the spirit of Christmas and the joy of that season, and the fun that was uh, you know probably things people haven't really thought about in that regard.
Yeah, yeah.
And but yeah, no, I think they did a nice, tasteful job with it.
Well, there's got to be definitely a lot of talent behind that and writing something that is very tasteful. Um, the thing about comedy is that you have comedy and tragedy. They're two sides of the same coin. And I don't know if you remember it all, but Richard Pryor did an entire comedy special that was about when he caught himself on fire uh, doing illicit drugs. And if you
Hmm.
watched that and you saw him talking about it, it was absolutely hilarious. But just a year and a half earlier, when you saw it on the news, it was completely horrific and tragic. So there are ways to talk about sensitive subjects that can bring people together into an understanding of the subject matter. So I applaud you guys for actually going after it, because a lot of people, I think, probably would try to shy away from a project as daring as that.
Well, I wish I could take credit for that bravery. I'm actually just a cog in a much larger wheel. The project was written by Trey and Ariel Fernald, and they're with the Eastern Star Theater Company in Los Angeles. They wrote the project, and then the project went to Damascus Road, which is Ryan and Heather O'Quinn in LA, and they actually scooped it
Mhm.
up and said this is something the project type they were looking for. And when they were looking for production design, they were asking around and said, "Who designed Capernaum Studios and the villages and the gardens and all that? Who is that person?" And they started tracking me because whether I don't even know if you know that, but that's one of my local claims to fame was the design on Capernaum Studios, where they shot season one of The Chosen, and of course the gardens that are there were all part of projects that I did for Tammy Lane between 2005 and 2010. Um, and so anyway, they started tracking me, and they found me and pitched the project to me, which was a lot of fun because I was actually able to go back to old art, if you want to look at it that way from my perspective, or old creative project, which was Capernaum Studios and the gardens, and actually, and I've never been. It's interesting because I've never been credited on the Chosen or any project that's ever been shot out there as art department or a production designer or anything like that. And I've had people ask me, well, or do you feel bitter about that? And I'll say, well, no. I mean, do you know who built Space Mountain at Disney World? I mean, you don't know who built that. You don't know who designed that. Some Imagineer did that, and and that's kind of how my relationship to Capernaum Studios and the gardens and all of that. That's the way it's been over the years, and so I was thrilled whenever. Uh, whenever the Chosen selected the village as, oh, that's actually a picture right there. They put up on the website. That first picture right there is a picture of the movie I just came off of.
Oh,
And
fantastic! Look at that.
and we're one of the only film production teams that's ever used the garden, because the gardens are kind of tricky to shoot in, because there's a lot of potential stuff up there that
Yep.
could be an eyesore or a challenge for a film uh, department and or a film production, because there's just a lot of stuff that has to be covered or moved or hidden and things like that. And but I designed all of that, and I knew where all that stuff was, so uh, it was a lot of fun for me to go back in and kind of take old art and make it new, and then it was super fun kind of meta experience for me, doing a little of taking the old art and adding to it. It was a quite a unique opportunity. In fact, when they pitched it to me, I was out of town, and we just had a baby this year, and it's been a one of those years where we're not getting a lot of sleep, and overcommitting ourselves to things seems, it's easy to say no. It's very easy to say no to stuff when you got a new baby in the house and people are asking you to do something.
Yes.
And but my wife looked at me and she said, "Who has the opportunity to do something like that? No one gets to do stuff like that. You have to do that. You have to say yes." And I was like, she's right. I have to say yes. But it was great. It was a very cool experience. And
It looks like you actually did get
but
just a little
and
bit of credit there. A garden designer on the website. They've got a picture of you right there with the walk through the Bible, and there's the empty
Yeah,
tomb
there you
inside the tomb, the front statue, and all of these things available at the Capernaum website, CapernaumStudios.com. That's actually beautiful
very
work.
cool. I've never seen that before. I've never. That is a new page, Daniel. I can assure you that is a new page. But Tammy, if you're watching, thank you. I'm grateful for the tip of the hat. So
I'm sure they put that together just for this show.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. So yeah, and I'm actually working on another short at the moment, with a friend named Daniel Cole, and that short is called "Shadow of a King," and it's really dark, gritty vignette out of the life of King David before he's King David. He's just musician and servant to King Saul, and King Saul tries to kill him, and so
Hmm.
they've taken that vignette, which is very dark and gritty, and they asked me to play King David. So I'm actually
Oh,
kind of
wow.
toggling, like I go back and forth between a lot of art department jobs, or production jobs, and then of course I started as an actor, and anytime somebody asks me to act, I'll say yes and then ask questions. Uh, say yes and ask questions later. What is it? And yes, what is it? Yeah, I'll do. And then occasionally I bow out of projects if I've jumped to the gun or something like that. But
Hmm.
anyway, I'm working on
But,
that too,
it's
and a lot of plates spinning.
I think it's really important for young actors to understand that if you take on other jobs in the filmmaking part of it and the background, you become that much more valuable to any given production. And you'll see that whenever you talk to a child actor who's transitioned, they've aged out of the child actor situation, and they've gone into producing, into the music, into directing or art directing in the backgrounds. It's because they took the time while they were doing the acting to learn the rest of the filmmaking, because it's really a collaborative process, and understanding all of the different aspects of it makes it easier for you to stay involved beyond one different aspect that someone might only know you from. So I think that's an important skill to have.
I agree. I feel like you have to make yourself indispensable. I tell all of our boot campers that is one of the ways that I have managed to survive in the industry and work as long as I have is, um, I think people feel a bit that way about me. People are like, well, what do you do in the industry? And so I'm a bit of a Swiss Army knife. And so, what tool would you like to pull out? What do you need from me? And because I write music, I paint, I draw, I sculpt, I build, I act, and so it's there's and I write for people occasionally too. So uh,
Hmm.
it's really more about what's in front of me, and do I want to do that right now? Is that is that scratching the itch? And I think if you make yourself really indispensable like that, and people will go looking for you, because I tell actors at actor studios, if you're going to come through, if you want to join the industry, you want to be in the industry, you probably ought to consider, especially in our market or our region, learning how to do a crew position as well as act, because the opportunities that one may have just to act on a regular basis throughout any given year may be few and far between in terms of full-time work. But and you may have some great opportunities, and some people may spring out of those great opportunities and maybe make a leap to a larger market and begin working more regularly. But a lot of people in our market in particular, they wear multiple hats. I know people in LA
Yes.
who wear multiple hats. I got a call at the studio recently, the other day, from Ann Lockhart. And those of you who might know, Ann is with Linda McAllister Talent. She lives in Fort Worth. She's a fun lady. She was Betty White's good buddy, and well, she was the daughter of June Lockhart, who was Betty White's best friend. So, and June was
Hmm.
the mom on Lost in Space, if you remember that. And
Yes.
I hope, and if you're watching, Ann, I hope you don't mind me telling the story, but we were on the phone, and I didn't realize who I was talking to until I looked her up on IMDb. But her IMDb is fantastic, because it's crew position, crew position, crew position, PA, lead role in a TV series, right? And then supporting actor, lead role, crew position, running transpo on another project. And I asked, and it goes on and on and on, because she's older at this point. If you don't remember, Anne, she played Nancy Drew in the 1970s Nancy Drew TV series, and went on to do just all kinds of stuff. And I said, your
Yes.
IMDb is really unusual. I said, it's so eclectic. It's very eclectic. And she said, well, my parents were old Hollywood, and they told me there is no shame in work. Take whatever job is presented to you, and just embrace it, do it. And so I kind of live by that philosophy too. Just if people call me and they say, hey, we're doing this, would you be interested in being a set chiropractor? And then I'm like, sure, let me think about it. So, and I say yes, ask questions later.
Oh yeah. So let's take a look at some of the things you got going on this at the Actor Studio. Looks like starting on October 4th through the 25th. You've got beginning introduction scene study with Sarah Slaughterhouse Hughes. Tell us a little bit about what happens in that study.
Yeah, this is one of our regular classes. It is just a regular scene study class. If you've ever been in a um, acting class anywhere in the country that is specific to TV, film, and it's referred to as scene study, very often you'll walk in, and they'll hand you the scenes. They'll pair you up with a scene partner, and you will work those through cold reads until you're comfortable with the material. And then each week you'll come back and continue to work that material. And you may work that material outside class with your scene partner.
Hmm.
And of course, you know, classes, especially a class like with Sarah Slaughter Hughes, is going to be an epic time. She is a We call her the party doula. She is just a lot. She's a great time, and a fantastic teacher. And yeah, and this class is novice to intermediate. And so if you're just getting started, uh, or you don't have access to the advanced class at Actor Studio at the moment, this is the place for you. And just because it is a novice or intermediate class does not mean that it's full of babies or full of bad actors or anything like that. In fact, this
Hmm.
class does and will have some pretty strong actors in it. And so if you drop in here, you uh, will probably see a variety of experience levels, and that's neat. We kind of love to mix people together that way. It kind of the more experienced or more capable people in a class like that kind of bring the bar up a little bit for those who may be just getting started,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
kind of
I would submit that even if you were writing scripts as a script writer, or if you were a producer, that you and, or a director, first time director, please take a class, audit class, because it's helpful to understand the language that the actors are talking about. If you've never been anything and you're like, I want to be a filmmaker, I want to be a director, um, sit in on these things, because you have to talk to actors. You have to understand the actor's motivation, how they're getting into things. You yourself, it wouldn't hurt. It really wouldn't hurt to understand every aspect of the filmmaking process. So many times, a beginning director will get flustered trying to communicate or try to act out a scene the way he would like it or she would like it, not knowing that they are belittling the people that they've employed to do the thing for them, or understand why they've taken the time to write down some backstory for the character, so that they have themselves the motivation of why certain words are said a certain way or a certain look is given a certain way. You have to be able to understand your actors. So definitely, writers and directors, if you're just getting started, this is a good place to start.
I agree wholeheartedly. We have several people who've come through the studio over the last 7 years. We've existed for 7 years, by the way, and
Hmm.
they several students who they come in the door and they look at me and they say, "I'm not an actor. I'm a filmmaker. I am here to figure out what actors do," and and that is and that's a very real thing. And we also have people who come in the door who think they want to act, and they get into it and they realize some of the sophistication and challenges of doing that well, especially doing it well on camera and doing realism on camera. Uh, and they realize, wow, this is a deep well, and there's a lot here, and it's going to be a lifetime of study. And um,
Hmm.
several get a little disillusioned, and they'll walk away because it is such a deep pool. Um, and then and then we have students that end up in film school because they turn around and say, I I think I want to get behind the camera,
Yeah.
and they do. And we've sent several off to film school.
And you don't know until you know, and you've got to try first before you can understand it. October 8th, you've got a Saturday 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. character development class.
Yeah, this is a 1 day workshop that I have taught several times, and it's backed by popular demand because my students are demanding that I do it again. And it's because several students have not been able to actually partake in this yet, and so I've got several people begging me to do this again. And this class has always been a part of what we consider Fort Worth Actor Studio core curriculum. This is based on the 12 Jungian archetypes, and I don't know anyone else in the country, maybe or the world, who teaches this material the way that I do through
Hmm.
archetypes. And so, class used to be called archetypes. We've changed that to character development, just so uh, people will understand a little bit better what it is. Archetypes can sound a little intimidating, I think, and but character development through archetypes, and I consider myself a character actor, um, and so it's one of those subjects I've thought about a lot over the years, and one of those things that I have given a lot of personal time and energy to, and thought just for myself. And when I started teaching the material, I I realized that not only were we onto something kind of original in terms of a process, um,
Mhm.
but we just have a great time with it. So we help you get to know yourself a little bit better in that workshop, help you understand your own essence uh, and your own type, and the room helps you kind of figure that out a little bit. In terms of just the way people perceive you, we deal with that, and so you'll spend a little bit of time working in your own essence, and then we talk about playing against type. We talk about um, and then we talk about uh, maybe playing counter types that are not maybe your opposite, but counter types in terms of personality typing
Mhm.
based on the Myers Briggs, the Enneagram, the 12 Jungian archetypes, and then archetypes in general, sub occupational types. So it's a great class. Um, it does not mean, and I always tell people, we are not trying to niche you. We're not trying to say you're going to play Cop One for the rest of your days because that's what you are. We're trying to help you understand what you're very likely to be cast in our market or in the greater market of LA or New York. What you might be seen as today. Some good like easy low hanging fruit opportunities based on your look and your type and the way people perceive you, and then talk to you about how to break free from that as well, and push the envelope a little bit so you can get out and play more than yourself. So if you've
Yeah.
just dreamed of being Tom Cruise or always playing in your own energy, that's okay. Some people do that and do that really well. I think
Hmm.
Tom Cruise is a good example of that. I think Jennifer Garner's a really good example of that. They're people who we like them as they are, and they're really great at playing themselves. Um, and we talk about that and how to maximize playing in that energy that is you. Um, but this class will challenge you, kind of push you out of that comfort zone a little bit as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah. Hey, there's certain situations where you could just be yourself and be an extended version of yourself, but there are other situations where you kind of have to not be yourself and be something completely other. And I think sometimes I I can't say that I found that, but I think sometimes might have a hard time seeing themselves in different situations, um, and trying to react specifically to that as themselves. So um, I find it
Hmm.
very, very refreshing when I can see somebody who completely transforms themselves into something other, like a Daniel Day Lewis is never Daniel Day Lewis in this situation, whereas Tom Cruise, we get to watch him skydive, we get to watch him ride motorcycles and do exciting things because uh, really that's what we're watching. We're watching Tom Cruise fly a plane, and that's why we paid to go see him.
Right, right. And it's cool. And he does his thing. He does it well. And we've come to appreciate that and love that. But I think if you people who are also interested in voiceover and voice acting would be and characters and things like that would be very interested in the character development class too. So
I think so too. I think so too. You have Ronnie Hummel coming up as well uh, on
we
October 8th.
do, Ronnie.
What's that now?
Oh, I
Yeah,
said
I
yeah,
know.
Miss Ronnie Himmel.
Yeah, I've known Ronnie from way back. She gave me some great assistance when I was working on a couple of shorts myself, and she's just all in, whole heart, 100% team player. Lots of skills, lots of history in the industry, and I think she's doing a lot of great things for people. So if you have any questions about how Ronnie does it, I think this is a great place to come because it's a Q&A with her as a casting director.
Great opportunity to meet somebody who's casting in our market and hear directly from her, ask her questions. And um, I always tell people don't pay for anything in the industry outside of headshots. Maybe you pay to get some demo reel material maybe you pay for self-tape production. If you're going to pay for anything else out there, then maybe you pay for a casting director's workshop so that you can get to know that casting director and understand how to audition better for them. And so it's a good opportunity to do that. And Ronnie's been really gracious to come over,
Hmm.
and she's going to be very helpful. I first met her on Murder Made Me Famous several years ago.
Yeah.
Adam Dietrich cast me to play something, and Ronnie was working on that team, and met Ronnie and connected with her. Later, I worked with her on Washington's Armor, which you can see right there featured on the image, uh, and
Hmm.
um, and so I've crossed paths with Ronnie several times, and then I crossed paths with her again this summer on Bringing Back Christmas, which uh, she also was doing casting for in our market, and so I keep seeing her. And when I saw her at on Bringing Back Christmas, I was like, "Hey, why have you not been to the studio before?" And she was like, "I don't know. It's just in so we've been kind of talking about it behind the scenes for a while, trying to figure out how to get her into the studio, and so she could share some of her experience. And we're really excited to have her. So great opportunity to just come and do Q&A with her, and hear what she has to say about what's going on out there. She's casting Vindication. She's casting Washington's
Hmm.
Armor. She's done some work with The Chosen. I don't know if she's working on that at the moment. She's got her hands in numerous projects locally, so she's
Oh yeah.
somebody you
Oh
want to
yeah.
know.
Absolutely. And you'll be talking, let's see, on October 9th, you're going to be talking about the Stanislavski system.
Yeah, Stanislavski is the great granddaddy, the Russian granddaddy of actors, and inspired everybody from Stella Adler to Strasberg uh, to Ivana Chubbuck. So if you're doing the Chubbuck method right now, and Ivana is a teacher in LA at the moment,
Hmm.
everybody's rehashing Stanislavski, and and I I've looked at numerous acting techniques over the years, and everybody's rehashing Stanislavski and changing his language to sound more original, or to sound like they've come up with something original. And I'm sure some people have, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of it's all very abstract uh, anyway. But I love Stanislavski. I love his books, and I lived in Russia for a couple of years in the 90s, and which I kind of have a maybe an interest in Russian culture and things like that as well. And so this is a great class to kind of help you get some foundations of acting theory. This class is about object work. It's about the magic if and given circumstances, and several other very foundational principles. Uh, and we do some weird abstract stuff in this class that is very mind expansive. It's very expansive physically and mentally for people. It's a great workout, and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with a good Stanislavski count.
You know what? I've got nothing to add to that because you were just spot on with that. So, you also do classes for kids. Is
We
that
do.
correct?
We actually, Actor Studio started. Actor Studio started about 7 years ago in the wake of a movie production that had a lot of kids in it, and families were asking, where do we send kids for acting for camera classes? And we would name all the usual suspects in Dallas and Arlington and beyond, and they would say, well, that's an
Hmm.
hour away, or it's not family friendly, or it's just not what we're looking for, or whatever. And they really, we got kind of arm twisted convinced to start a film acting class for kids in Fort Worth, and that class has always existed, uh, and and that is this Saturday, 10 to 11:30, kids class. And it was really the impetus for the studio was creating an opportunity for kids to do acting for camera. Ironically, when we put this class up on the web and we started advertising acting classes in the Dallas market, 90% of our interest came from adults, and so that's why the studio became what it is today, which is mostly an adult class program or teens and adults. But this class is fantastic. It is the the heart and the soul of what started Actor Studio. And right now, Sarah Slaughter Hughes helms that class. If you're not familiar with Sarah, she worked for Casa Manana with my wife as a resident actor for a decade, and but before working for Casa Manana, Sarah lived in Hollywood. She's worked in some television and movies. She is an all around, very well rounded actor who's worked uh, in film and stage, but she's also worked with kids a lot. She's a mom. She's got
Hmm.
great kid energy. I said earlier, she's kind of the party doula, is what we call her, and she does a fantastic job with kids. So if you've got kids in the Dallas Fort Worth area, this is a this is a killer class for um, for kids interested in TV and movies. Where if you've got kids, you just can't figure out what to plug them into because they're not doing they don't love sports, or you're having trouble figuring out um, what they're interested in. This is a really great opportunity to help you figure that out.
There's a couple of schools now that focus on art as well. So art and theater, and so something to augment that if your kids happens to be going to one of these academies would probably be something like this on the weekends or on the weekdays after school, 4:30 to 5:30.
Yeah, this class is currently after school in September and November. This type of after school opportunity has been kind of seasonal for us around the studio, and but this is a really great opportunity after school. It's the same teacher, uh, uh, and but different material. So you can theoretically take two kids classes, a Saturday and a Wednesday, and you won't be repeating material. You'd
Hmm.
get something each time you come through. So
There's just so much to learn, and so many people, so many talented people behind the scenes teaching it. You've got some really impressive guest teachers as well.
yeah, thank you. That's and this that list that you're looking at there is not even complete. Really, it's close to complete probably over people who we've had through over the last few years. Um, but yeah, Eric Nelson and St. T. Reed Nelson from Fort Worth have both been a part just this year. Well, between 2020 and now, they've both come through for workshops and classes.
Hmm.
Eric Hansen, who you see there on the left, Eric has taught with the studio for a long time, uh, off and on when he's available, uh, and and then Abby Cobb is there in the center because
Hmm.
Abby was one of the very first guest teachers that we had through the studio. Delightha and I met Abby and her husband Josh on the set of Disney's Wizards of Waverly Place in Los Angeles years ago, before anyone knew who Abby was, and
Hmm.
we all hit it off on set, became friends. We were all just doing background work at the
Yeah.
time, and then Abby went on uh, to do several shows on the Disney Channel, Jonas LA, and then did some stuff with Nickelodeon, and then eventually, she's playing Heather Locklear's role on the re-up of 90210, and she was on Suburgatory and several other shows. She's really like had a significant pop of a true young Hollywood experience, and um, but no, and then Jay Armstrong Johnson, who you see there too. Jay is a Fort Worth um, legend who's gone on to Broadway and been on television as well. Jay's been through the studio. Um, Andrea Avery Ray lives up in Denton, but Andrea's in Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff
Hmm.
and Katie Holmes' first daughter. She did several big movies back in the day, and these days she's raising kids and teaching and directing. She um, does, I think, quite a bit with Denton Community Theater downtown. And yeah, several. Just we've got. amazing people. One of the things that we require of teachers that are going to come through is they have to have been vetted as a human being. They have to be uh, a soulful, likable human being who we like them, and we think that they are people that the students will like. They have to be working. They have to be connected and tied currently to the industry. We're not working with retirees
Hmm.
or people who've checked out and are teaching. Everybody that comes to the studio has steam rising because they've probably come off of a movie set somewhere. Um,
Uh-huh.
and then, of course, beyond experience, beyond likability, they have to be able to teach. And that is not every actor who comes through, but we vet them to make sure that they are good communicators. And that and then of course the proof is in the pudding. The students are the ones who tell us yay or nay on bringing somebody back through the studio once they've been there. So so anyway, no, we've got a great team, uh, and each year we end up with several celebrity guest teachers coming through for workshops generally, and then people teaching on a regular basis. Could be teaching live, but they may be teaching via Zoom if they're out of market at the moment. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, so you
Yeah,
can't go
that's
wrong.
possible with
We've done really.
yeah, that it's possible to have somebody come in via Zoom simply because they're working. They've got things going on. I see. One of the guest speakers or guest teachers that you had there just recently had a film debut in Toronto. So um, I
Yeah.
think it was Rebecca
Who?
Kennedy.
Oh, that's
Rebecca
right. Yeah,
Kennedy.
and
Yeah.
Rebecca, yeah, Rebecca's awesome. She we met on a movie project honestly 15, 17 years ago now. It's been a long time ago, and we've been friends ever since. And she's great. When she comes back to DFW for any reason, she always calls the studio to say, "Hey, I'm coming into town," and we'll try to. We always try to figure out how to loop her into to what we've got going on. And Austin A. Bear just did that. Austin just finished an online series. He's not listed here, but Austin A. Bear is in Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise, and he's in Ray
Hmm.
Donovan with Lee Schreiber. He's in the Netflix
Love that
series
show.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he's Austin just did a Zoom class for us, and was a big hit. Students really love that. So, but yeah, so we occasionally they're out of town, but we have access to them, and we can get them into online situations too. So lots of great people, very cool network. One of the best reasons to be involved in a good studio is to get this kind of networking and meet people as you go along. So it's all about who you know and who they want to bring
The
you
only
onto
way
their
you're going to
project.
know is by.
So
And so this is yeah,
mhm.
you're located at 3417 Wellington Road, Suite 105 in Fort Worth, Texas.
That's
And
correct. That's over kind of catty cornered behind Risky's Barbecue, um, off of Camp Bowie before you get out to the traffic circle.
oh, okay, so that's pretty good. You've got your contact number is 682-334-3927, and they can email you at dlytha at fwactors.com. Nathan, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate you coming out and telling us about it and sharing your stories and talking about the different kinds of work you've done out there. I had no idea. You caught me off guard with the whole Capernaum Studio story, but I'm
Yeah, well,
very
most people
impressed with
don't know
that
that.
your
It's
work
funny.
out there. And
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I'm just going to pay a quick bill here, real quick. This show was brought to you by DMRHosting.com. Hosting as low as $4.45 a month. Unlimited traffic, 5 domains, hosted, 500 emails, and a 30-day free trial. And if you go there now, you'll get a free domain at dmrhosting.com, dmrhosting.com. Thanks a lot, Nathan. And will you come back sometime and talk to us maybe about something else coming up?
I would love that. I would love that. Keep me in your loop, and I hope the show explodes here for you. And thank you for doing this in our. I think we need this in our area for sure, but I hope that these uh, these casts will reach viewers all over the place. So I enjoyed being here with you, and thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for coming out, and everybody else. You go out there and you have yourselves a great day.